Hello and welcome back to Pantheon of the Geeks. We have an unboxing video today. It is Necromunda Ash Wastes. Would have done it sooner, but I've been waiting for these cards to come, which won't release at the same time. Not in the UK anyway, for some reason. So we're waiting for these to come. We've got them now, so we can have a look at them at the same time. But these are the Orlock vehicle and the Ash Wastes Nomad Gang Tactics cards. See what's in there. Here we have the big box, which is about the same size as Dark Uprising. Actually, it feels about the same weight. It feels about the same weight. We have the side out there, and then
upside down.
The upside down box art. And back. It's quite a heavy box, actually.
It is, isn't it?
That is the regular contents, shall we say. And we have quite a bit of stuff in here, so let's see if we can get these off somehow.
Okay.
You're using tools.
Oops, that's gone wrong. Do you want the tools?
Haha! Brute force. Does it in a quarter of the time. Not. Right. Let's just turn this back over and remove them. Sink. Okay.
Oh, you've got box out around the side as well.
Yeah, I've got the Ash Wastes Nomads on this side.
I've got the Orlocks.
So these are the wrong way around. Train on that side.
Thank you.
And train on that side. Yeah, because you're having the Ash Wastes.
I am, yeah.
You're having the Tusken Raiders, I mean. So we have some terrain, interior detail as well. More terrain.
That looks like the same as that one I've just got out.
More terrain. More terrain. More terrain. And the sort of statutory, mandatory Necromunda sprues, which I've got about 6 of these just on sprues because I don't think I've got that many. I think some came with Dark Uprising and I already have them with the original game, so I never put them together. So we have that's the Ash Wastes, I believe, Nomads. That's going to be the giant ticks, Dusk Mites, whatever they're called. Dusk Mighty as well. Yeah.
Yep. Sorry.
We have some more Tusken Raiders. Looks like the Orlock buggies. Orlock gang members, which we've already put together on the channel, so I won't be doing those ones. We'll put the rest together. That's another buggy. And we have some obligatory templates. An advertisement for everything from Necromunda.
Nice. Oh.
What's that?
That was a bit of spray that's come off someone.
It kind of looks bikey. How does it come off one of these? I don't see it. Keep that to one side for now. That is the mat.
Yeah.
So this is the player mat, which is on this glossy paper, basically. Double-sided. with the lighter and darker side of exactly the same thing, so you can have like a night and day type. But it's that same paper that Games Workshop uses. It's fine for 1 game, 2 games.
And then it starts to rip.
If you flatten it out first, and then it becomes a bit unwieldy, and then it starts to rip, and then you start to fold it up, and then it creases. And
you don't fold it the right way.
Yeah. So consequently, I never use them. We have ourselves some manual for putting things together, and we've got special rules as well. For some reason. Orlock and Ash Wastes gang lists. Alright. Then we have all the construction stuff in there. We have ourselves the Necromunda Ash Wastes rulebook and counters. We have a fancy thing at the bottom. And we have ourselves some dice and cards under there. And a ruler. And an arm.
Looks like
it's like something's fallen off a sprue in. So if you're missing stuff, make sure you check the back of the box. We also have a bunch of normal bases.
Is that anything else?
Just those bits.
I'll just get rid of them.
Yeah. So some free fluff. Easy to do fluff. Yeah, so we have our 25mm standard base. Because the Ash Wastes is outside Necromunda, so I won't be using the fancy metal bases. Which is a bit cheap. And I'm just saying that because, you know, metal grids on the actual, why not? But there we go. Fine. Bases are sold separately. I think it's fine for the Ash Waste nomads because they are outside. My Orlocks are all on the Necromunda bases, so another good reason not to put them together today until I can get some more bases. And that's if I need them because I've got a full gang. So let's move this out of the way. Right. So this starts with the Dusk Mites, which is where we'll start that. Let's just check. Let's see if there's anything different. We have all these tokens. We have a couple of Ash Wastes reference sheets. Always useful, actually. Yep. Let's manual zoom in now. Okay, so we're starting with these Duskback Helamites.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So we have part 15, which is the head of the creature. And then we have the part 1 and part 2. These two parts are just going to go together. So we have this pointing down with this stinger, by the looks of it. And then this bit fits over there, onto there. And then the head attaches onto this little T section. There's a little groove underneath the head, and that should attach onto that. So, let's do that. We're building 2 of these, aren't we?
Yes.
That stinger's actually sharp. I just stuck it in my finger.
Ouch. I don't think you meant to do that.
No, it hurt.
Oh.
Never mind. I've done worse. When I was young, I stood on an entire rank of goblin spearmen.
Ow.
That was fun.
Yeah, but it was.
Right, so we have this at the moment. Next up we have part 3, which is this body section. This looks like it goes over there, fits into there. That's right, isn't it? So that goes on there. Then we have a choice of this front carapace. We've got a plain one, and we've got one that has like ropes and MacGuffin on it. So we're building 2, one of each. So 6 is the plain one, 10's the one with MacGuffin. Put 6 on this one. And
So I think that's part 18, the one with the MacGuffin.
oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like 10 because of how they put the 8.
Yes. Thank you.
Right.
Plus I'm reading it sideways.
Yeah, there is that as well.
In my defence. So there we have the sort of body of the bug, if you will. So I'm going to build another one of those, and Claire's going to cut off the parts for the rider elements, which is 33, 34, 35, 37.
Yeah.
And there's going to be 2 of those, so those are the riders.
Yeah. And then you want the head and the gun for that one.
Yeah, so this will be for that, and rider 2 will be over here, won't it?
Yeah.
Right. So we'll get those all off as well, and these.
Okay.
Because we're building them in tandem, so
Okay.
back in a moment. Okay, so we have the rider. We have 2 parts for the legs. So they're going to go together like that. And then we attach that onto the body. There's a little peg in there. Might need to file those down before I stick this together, to be fair. That'll go on there, and then we're going to attach the arm into the armhole socket, which actually goes all the way through onto there. We're going to do that twice. We should end up with 2 of these. Then all we're going to do is stick on a head, which goes onto this sort of ball socket, and then we have the gun arm, which again goes on the other side. Pretty basic stuff. I suppose the only thing you need to watch out for is your position of your arm, because is he actually holding the other part?
No, I don't think he is actually. I think he's got his hand down, hasn't he?
He's got his hand down. So looking at where he's going to be going, he's going to be fitting into this. This is obviously the seat on one of these. So after we've put the arm on, before we put the gun on, I'm going to position him onto the back of this and make sure he's on there right. And then I'll probably put the gun on afterwards. Do you want these guys gluing onto the mount, so do you want to paint them separately as well?
I think I might paint them separately actually.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we've positioned our rider on our dust mite, and then I stuck the hand on so that he's got the hand on the carapace, like so he's steadying himself while he's taking his shot. They should just fit over there, like that. So I'm going to go ahead and add on the head. It should be probably in a looking up position from the position he's actually in. And then we'll add on the rifle, which again, that little thing looks like it should be resting on the dust mite. Another good reason to make sure you're lining all this up when you're doing it, especially if you intend to paint them afterwards. Now the interesting thing is that that rifle seems to sit perfectly into that little groove. Yeah, and even on that one there's a little groove on the carpet. It's like a natural groove where the little peg on there will sit in there on that side.
Oh.
So that should guide us to where that should go.
That's good.
Yeah, I didn't realise that. I thought, oh, is it only on this one with the MacGuffin? But it isn't. You've still got to guide us to where that goes. So ultimately your rider will be in something like that position. So if you're going to paint him separately, make sure you've lined him up. And before you finish off, make sure that that glue has set. Because what can happen is arms can fall after you finish with them. So make sure you're happy with that position before you continue. There we go. So I'm just going to leave him over there. The other guy has
A blast pistol.
a blast pistol. So his shooting arm is a bit less important as to lining up, but we still want to line up the resting arm because he's still using that sort of balance. Presumably have some sort of like innate connection with these creatures because they don't seem to have any like ropes or anything for guiding them.
No, they don't need it, they're tough.
Make sure that is coming down that. Like that. And then you can take that off. Or take it off, I will position the head. And on the gun. Is he just shooting forward or does he have the gun open?
It looks like he's got the gun up.
How would you prefer it?
Up, to be quite honest. He's just back to aim the shot. Yeah.
There we go. That's the second guy. Let's see if we can just rest him or not. But no. Okay. So now we can move on to the legs and other bits. Okay, so Claire's chosen this back piece, which is kind of like a part of the seat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Looks like it, yeah. And it's like just some more decoration. There's an optional one here, which we're going to put on the other one, which has got like a little banner. And this one's got some MacGuffins, so we'll keep the MacGuffin with the MacGuffin on this. And that should attach by this bit here onto the back of that bit there. So we're gluing that on. Probably last because we have these legs and stuff to glue on. So we have 21, which is one of the back legs, and we have 3 slots under here. So 21 goes that way around, attaches into there. 20 goes on the other side, finishing off the back legs. And then we have the front legs, which are these much shorter ones, and these go into the front slots. Those ones go onto there to give that appearance, and then these ones will go onto this side, like so. And then we have these flat pads, so make sure they are flat to glue it onto the base. So I'm going to do all that before I come back. I don't see any real problems. Those fittings seemed pretty good. The one that was a bit loose was this first one, but no, it's just the way I was holding it. Those fittings are pretty good. So this should all fit in. So if there's any problems I'll come back, otherwise I'll come back with a dust mite on a base. So there we have a finished Helmite, Dustback Helmite. I'm going to just keep calling them dust mites because I kind of like that. It's quicker. So that's what it looks like. I must say I do like them. And then we have the rider to go on top. And that gives us our first Ash Wastes, our Nomad. So, moving on. On this one we have the same fittings, but we have different legs. On this one it's more in a running motion. So you can see there's only 2 of the legs that are actually attached to the base. They get a little bit less secure, but it should be fine. This one also has optional horn, so we'll see if Claire wants to put that on or not. But as it goes together exactly the same, I'm just going to stick this together, come back if there's any problems, and we can show you the second one. So here is our finished second dust mite. Looks really cool. And then we would have the rider on there that you want after painted. What do you think?
Very cool. Very cool, I like.
That's the first 2, there is now another 2. And answering my question how they steer them, these 2 do have something to steer them with.
Okay, that's good.
So one with a blast rifle and one with a chain lance. The bodies are different numbers but go through exactly the same. It's 13, 14 and 4. With 3 as the same as the others, and then we have the same options here for McGuffin or not. And then we have the riders with 24 and 23. 25 for the body, goes through exactly the same. This is where it gets a bit different. So what we're going to do, I'll get them up to this point. In fact, I think the legs and the horn all go on together. So what we're going to do is build the dust mite, build the body for this, and then we can line up all the other parts. I think that's exactly the same because they've both got this bit of cloth or whatever they're using to steer via the horn. So I'm not sure if this guy with a long rifle steers. He must be sort of like telepathic and talk to his mount. And this guy hasn't even bothered to use the cloth, so he must be the same. So we'll get them to the point which is different, and then we'll come back. Okay, so we have our bodies. One thing that is different on these are these blaster rifles, which attach underneath these canisters on the backs and go under there. You know they're in place because they're on the back of this pouch. There's a little wedge. You can see that on that, and that goes onto there, so it sort of wedges it in place. So you need to glue those on, and then we're going to do the same thing as before. We're going to line up the parts, but one thing we do need to do before we do that is glue 28 and 27 together, which is part of this strange claw that these guys are using to steer. So I'm going to do that and do the other part, and then we'll come back.
Before you go,
Yes.
that part there that says number 3,
Yes.
it's actually 14.
Alright, so it's a different part on these ones.
I think it's
Right.
the same part, I think it's just numbered.
So you're from 14.
Yeah.
Oh, we found an error. Yay. Cool. Right, so we will do that and return in a moment. Okay, so first off, those guns don't go on exactly how I thought they did. They actually go on the side, like that. Having reviewed some of the completed pictures, it wasn't very clear on the instructions how they go. That little tube doesn't really seem to attach to anything. The tube seems to attach underneath the little thing on its back. But the little pack there goes on the side. So that's what we end up with. This bit's also a little bit strange. So we have our model here. And what we need to do is we need to keep that steady and put the arm on there. And then what we have is this little hook which goes into this ring on the nose of the dust helmet. that's going to go on that side, and then this bit is going to go on the other side, and glue on there. So to keep this separate, what we're going to do is glue this in place, while that's held in place, and come on and glue this bit in place to the arm, and try and get those two bits to touch without gluing it onto that, so Claire can keep it separate. So that's the challenge. So let's try that. Okay, so we've attached the reins, if you will. That's how they go on. There are two very small notches and two very small sort of pins to show where it lines up, but you're still best lining it up while it's on the mould. It's a bit fiddly, but you make sure you get it in the right position, especially if you're painting it separately. If you don't want to paint it separately, it makes it a lot easier because you can just glue it all into place. So lastly for these guys, we just need to put on the binoculars and head and this chain lance and head. There we have the four helmets.
Very cool.
Do you like them?
Yeah, I do.
They remind me most, I know that they're not AdMech, but they remind me most of the AdMech walkers, but just a bit smaller.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do like them though.
They're very cool. Different.
Yeah.
Certainly different.
So now we have the Ashwists Nomads War Party. So for that we're going to build the Chieftain first, which is 22, 21, 24 and 25, 47. Then we need the glaive that he's got, which is 42, 41 for the claw, 23, 43, and we should have a finished dude, so let's get those bits off. Okay, so two sides of the body, they go together, pretty straightforward. Then we have this, which is the guy's foot, so he's got a bionic foot. Which is interesting. Well, that's unique in Necromunda, it's just with them being outsiders. Trying to find how this goes on though. That's different. I'm assuming there's like a little thing in there, and I'm assuming that's meant to go in there. Got this like weird antenna bit, which is probably the back of the hydraulics. Doesn't want to go on there though. That's how it looks like it should go on. Yeah, like that. Okay. And then we'll put on the backpack. So we have a weapon on that. So that's gonna, is that going like that? Looks like it. That should go on there. Let me let this dry though, because that foot's going to start to fall off. I need to re-glue it. Okay, so we have the back on. It goes with the gun on the inside. The foot should be on at a slight angle, so it'll lie flat. It's a bit awkward. as to where that goes in. Then we have this backpack part, which will go onto there. So we'll glue that on. And we have the arms and the head. I'm actually going to put the head on first. And I'll put on the claw arm. See, this is a flat arm, and that's more of a socket attachment. I do wonder if they're going to bring out some additional weapons for these guys.
You'd like to think so.
Especially with the sort of flat bodies that they've got. As opposed to being monopoles, like the original Necromunda stuff. And then they're having to fit weapons into those poses. These guys look like they've just got like standard attachments. So you could probably come up with various weapons that'll fit in. That's your Chieftain.
Awesome.
It's obviously attached because I'm holding on to it and I forgot this. But it's not falling off. Right, so we're attaching to the base. They're all 25mm bases, flat, as I said at the beginning. So if you do want to use a Necromunda base, you know, you have to buy them separately. I do have some upstairs, it's up to Claire.
I'm quite happy with them because I might put them on like some gravel or sand or something like that.
Because the only problem is there's no Necromunda bases like that. There's no oval ones. No. They're all round.
Yeah.
So if you want your dudes to match, which is going to be the problem with the Orlocks. Orlocks?
Orlocks.
Yeah. But I might not even put the buggies on base up on the side yet. There we go.
Oh, cool.
So that is your Chieftain. So next we have a Watcher. Whose parts 2, 1, 5 and 3.
3, 4.
4. And then we have 6, 7 and 46. So there's no options for this, this is just how it comes, same as the last one. So this guy looks like he goes through the pretty simple back and front. Yeah, and those two parts go together. Then we have the separate leg. So that needs to fit into the gap left behind. Then we have the head. Then we have the backpack. So let's get those parts on and then we'll come back and finish them off. Okay, so we have a model so far. That's how the backpack goes on. There's no specific place. It really sort of goes on like clip wise. But there are little circles just above the shoulders, sort of like cut out. So I've just aimed it for that really. So next up we have the arms with this, what looks like a harpoon missile launcher. We have the other arm, which will go on there. And then we have this top part which goes on the back there. Just in case sticking those on there. So there is the Watcher. Careful when you're putting the head on this guy, because if you don't put the head on the right angle, you won't be able to get this arm on. As it is, I'll be able to push it on a little bit, but not quite enough that I can actually get the hand to meet. So potentially line up the weapon before you put the head on. Although he looks alright.
Cool.
Looks like he's going to grab it. So next up we have a bunch of different bodies. And a couple of these which are repeats as well. We have 8 and 9 that are 14 and 13, 22 and 21 which was the Chieftain. We have 19 and 18 and we have 2 and 1 which was the Watcher. Some of these are repeats. So these go together in a very similar manner. It's just a case of lining up where some of the things go. But there's nothing that looks too crazy. The worst bit was that foot, I think. So we're going to put these bodies together and we'll come back when we've done that. Okay, so now the bodies are together. This one comes with the head already attached, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
As per the instructions anyway. And these 4 have no heads. And then you have optional heads as to which you want to put on which. And optional weapons as to what you want to...
Wow.
Doesn't like his base, fair enough. It's the one floating in the eye. Yeah, that's going back on. But this is a separate part as well. This little shoulder part, which is best put on after you've put the arm on, to be fair. So, Claire's going to choose our weapons now.
Yep.
So we have the choices of long rifles. There's 2 different types.
Mm-hmm.
In the game they're exactly the same, it's just visual. We have 2 blast rifles, again, the difference is visual.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a blast pistol and a stalking knife combo.
That's cool.
So what do you actually get on the sprues is the question.
There you go. So, I think you get...
So I can see the 2 long rifles and...
You get the blast pistols as
2
well.
blast rifles, blast
And
pistol,
the hunting knife.
and knife. And is that sprue just a carbon copy?
It's a carbon copy of that.
So you also have 3 other models as well, which he
Mm.
hasn't said to put together at any point. But there are 10 models on the page, picture at the bottom. However, when you add it up as a gang, you might not need all 10 models. So for now, we'll just build these and then you can decide.
Okay.
So it's up to you how you want to have them, basically.
I think I'll have a long rifle.
Yep.
And then the blast pistol and hunting knife.
Yep.
I want another long rifle.
So you basically got 5 guys to equip.
Yeah.
So you could just equip them like that.
I could do actually.
Or if you want, you got another. There's only 1 more close combat guy, isn't there? So
Yeah.
you could switch one out for a close combat, second close combat guy.
I think I will do actually. I think I'll have 2 close combat guys.
Yep. Say close combat guy. Just
Yeah.
'cause-
Maybe 2 with long rifles.
Yeah, and then 1 with a blast.
1 with the blast pistol. Rifle.
Blast
Even. Yeah.
That makes sense to me. So
Yeah.
1 of each type, 2 of those, and then whichever one of those.
Yeah.
So we'll add those on, and then we have these again optional banners. They all seem to have the banners on, so
Could do. Yeah.
less optional. Like, I mean, you don't have to put them on, but there are various ones that you can appear that slightly go on any of the bodies.
We'll cut them off.
So you have some variation.
Yeah, we'll add them on.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get these guys finished off.
Okay.
So here we have the first 7 Ash Wastes nomads. So long rifle, and one of these backpacks looks very much like rockets, and they can have these rocket packs. So that could well be a rocket pack. I'm going to actually use that as a rocket pack. We have the Watcher, the Chieftain. We have one with a blaster. We have this guy whose backpack just came off. Hey! We have this guy who's got the blaster and the stalker knife. So that is a stalker knife, not a long sword. With a guy with stalker knife and blaster pistol. And we have the other long rifle on there. So I was doing some quick math, and these guys with him, I'm going to glue back together, I'll put him after me. These guys, with one of them having a rocket pack as well, come to 975 points. So that's nearly the 1,000 points, well, 1,000 credits. That's nearly the 1,000 credits for a starting gang. The 4 dust mites, with what they're armed with, come to 475, which is interesting. So that's a lot of credits there. And I think when you start, I had a quick brief look at the rules. I think when you start off a Ash Waste gang, you have 1,000 credits for the gang and 400 credits for vehicles. I'm not sure whether these count as vehicles or not for that purposes. I would imagine they'd have to, otherwise this is a really overcosted gang. But we'll see. I'll have a good look at the rules near the end of the video, and we'll see if we can figure that one out. But for now, that is the Ash Waste Nomads. So I'm going to glue that back on. These guys can come out of the way. As I said at the beginning, I've already got an Orlock gang. If you haven't seen them, here they are. Hopefully that's coming up on camera. So these are my existing gangers, and this is what you'd be able to make from the box. I'm just trying to pick out the normal ones. And those two. So these are the normal gangers with the weapons that come in the normal box of Warlocks. They're not all of them because I never built all of them. I've got a few spare ones, and now I've got an entire gang of spare ones, which is great because I might want to change up some of the weapons in the future. But those are the kind of things we've got. Also guns. The 2 heavy weapons is the harpoon launcher and the heavy stubber that you get in this set. You also do get a guy with a power fist if you want to use him. So, all that said, we can look through the instructions here. It's telling you to build them. So shotgun and servo claw, auto pistol and knife. And then with combat shotgun, with stub guns, with filter gun, with auto pistol and sawn off, shotgun, and then with an auto gun, auto pistol and knife, combat shotgun, sawn off shotgun and knife. And there we've also got with combat shotgun. So that's how it's suggesting that you build them. You can build them like that. And if you don't want to, you can also buy one of these if you're not familiar, which is the Orlock weapons and upgrades. I've not even opened it because I haven't no need to yet. But in this you do get a heavy flamer and a heavy bolter. You get multi-melters, which is cool. You also get a hammer, but if you get into the other sets, you can get a champion with a hammer from one of the other sets. That's mine for these guys. As well as dudes with, and dudettes, with jump packs, or jump shoots. I can't remember what they're actually called those. But yeah, I could just call them jump packs, but there we go. So you can get other stuff like that if you're new to the game. If you're not new to the game, you'll know all this. So, moving along, the next thing we're going to build is the Orlock Outrider Quad. Or to be precise, 2 of them. So this is the cool little quad vehicle, which reminds me of the, strange enough, squat bikes. At the same time they bring the squats back to the game. we now have these little things that almost look like bikes, and I really want to put some squats on them. And that is the squats from Necromunda, not the Leagues of Votan or whatever they call themselves. That's the actual squat prospectors, which I'm looking forward to getting. So I'm wondering if maybe they'll give them something like this. Who knows? It did mention Mantra. I think it was sand, like a sand crawler it mentions in the blurb. But we'll see what they give them. But let's get on with building these. Okay, so for the buggies we're starting with 2 and 1, which I believe is like the engine. And then we're going to be using parts 3 and 4, which is one of the outer parts. And then this part here, which looks like the handlebars. And then we're going to have 5, which is the other side of the bike. 7, which looks like a headlight from here. A sort of crossbar on the front, which is 6. And we have the exhaust, which is 9 footplate for the driver, I think, which is 8. Then we have 11 and 10, which looks like some of the McGuffin that goes underneath to get to this point. So let's get all those parts off. Okay, so we're going to start with the engine pieces. And these 2 parts just stick together. Yep, those 2 parts just go together. Okay. So next up we take this engine part and that goes inside the chassis. There are 2 little nodules there and 2 little things on there which they sit on. There is also a little nodule there which fits on the back of this engine part, and that will go on there like that. So now we have the engine there. Next we have the steering column. There's a little tab there and a little notch. The notch fits onto the bit coming from the engine, and the tab fits onto the part which is attached in there on the chassis, and that is going to fit in there like that. Here's one I prepared earlier, so it goes in there. Hopefully you can see where. So we're going to glue that bit on next. So next we're attaching the other side. So that should just glue onto there, attached by the seat, this front part mainly, and then this bit at the back, so I'm going to put on the glue. After that's on, we have the, is it a little light?
Yeah, I think it is.
That fits into that part there. And then we have this bit, which I didn't think would look like a pair of handlebars, but we've got the handlebars. That attaches onto this bit at the front. So I'm going to figure out how that goes on. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so that's how this bit attaches. It goes on there. And to show you, these 2 little bits that are hanging down, these wire parts, they fit into 2 holes that are on the inside of this. Those 2 bits there, with the little bits coming down there, they fit on top, and there's 2 little cut sections. And this bit here, with those holes, fits onto the drive shaft there. So you've got to put it in all places at once. And what I did with that one is I actually put it in, then glued it, because there's so many points of contact, the glue would have dried otherwise. And then once that's in place, it should look like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with this one. But the next part is the exhaust, and we also have the forest. Oh, and the little light that goes in there only goes one way around. Just for reference. I need that for the other one, don't I? Mm-hmm. Okay, so the exhaust fits on, if I'm correct, it should be a little bit. There's a little nodule there. I expect one a bit further back as well. Okay. Because it seems to go on there. And then there's a little bit of a coil there, so I must just go on that bit. The image sort of made it look like it went further back, but it has to go into that little circle there. That nodule has to go into that tiny little part there, like that. So I'm going to glue that on. I'm going to glue this bit on the footrest. I think this is actually the footrest for the guy sat on the back, isn't it? Or like the back, or like the top part. It's like the back part of the seat for the driver. I think that could be footrest for the guy behind him. But it goes on the back.
Is it not the mud guards?
Yeah, it's for the back wheels, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it fits underneath the seat like that. So it goes on. So we'll glue that on and that on, and then come back. So we have our main chassis. So now we're just going to put on the rear wheel attachment points, or hydraulics, whatever they're meant to be. So we have 11, which attaches from that point there to that point there, and 10 will go on the other side, same place. So I'm going to stick them on and then I'll come back. Okay, so next up we're going to make some tyres. So we have 14 and 15, and then we have 18 and 19, 13 and 12, and 17 and 16. And they, once they're put together, will just go on here. These are two parts. You have the main tyre and then you have the other side, which is just that bit there, and that just sticks in to there. And then once it is on, there's a little square hole there, which attaches on to these at the back. So once I've glued the wheels together, I'll actually glue the wheels on and we'll come back with the main body of the buggy with the wheels finished. Okay, so now we have ourselves two of these cool little buggies. Next up, we're going to have a driver for them. So we need 22 and 21, which are the legs for the driver. They stick together. And if you want to keep them separate, that's up to you. I think I'm going to stick them to the bike because I'm a Maverick Renegade. No, I think I should be able to paint around that. But you are going to be covering up some of the detail. It's going to be a lot easier to paint without having it on. So if you're new to this, I'd suggest you didn't stick it on. Or if you, on the other hand, if you're not going to be painting it for a while, I suggest you do stick it on because you'll lose bits. And that's one of the reasons why I don't know whether I'm going to be painting these straight away or I'm going to be leaving them a little while to paint some of the Necromunda stuff first and some of the stuff first. So I don't want to leave it in bits because bits might get lost. That's my personal preference. So I'm going to stick these guys together. I've lost bits in the past. It's really disheartening. So first off, we're going to stick these two bits together, and at the same time, they do have these little pedals which go in. Where are we? In there, I believe. So once they're on there, should be able to. Yeah, it's fucking. That's how not to do it. One of the reasons I do show you is my fumbles as well, in case you do fumble when you do it and you think, oh, why didn't you do it? I do it all the time. That's why I like to keep it on camera. But yeah, if you do stick that together, you can position that around because it hadn't finished bonding. why it fell apart. But those two little bits there, they do fit under there and sort of attached to where it looks like we're attached to where the engine is on there. So that's where they'll be going. But I'm going to glue them on anyway. So I'll do that a bit off camera just because it's going to be a bit faffy where it is. Then we have this bit here, which goes on this bit there. A lot less faffy at the moment. This is where the gunner's going to go. And you could leave that separate in order to have it twist. I don't know how much weight this is going to take, to be fair. I bet you could get away with not gluing that at all and have it twist. The other advantage of not gluing it is it's easier to paint in two parts. I'm going to try not to glue that for now, but if he's too heavy and it falls off as part of the course, then it's going to get easily lost, so I will glue it on during the process. The next thing up will be the body parts, which is 23 and 24, and obviously that's going to go on top of here. So when we come back, I'll have stuck those two together. Let's have a look. Let's cut them off, which is great. And they just fit together by the looks of it. Yeah, like that. So I'm going to stick those together. And if you can hear that on the camera, Robert's kicked off in the background. So we're going to go see if he's alright as well. So we'll be back after that. Okay, so that is how the rider actually goes on. The feet don't fit where I thought they fit. I'll show you on this one. There are 3 rivets down the side of the bike. The rivet just behind this bit where the wheel hydraulics connect. There is a... I've got the wrong foot. There is a little nodule on the pedal foot, and that goes into the rivet. So it sits just behind the wheel connector. I'll show you again on this what I mean. I thought they went underneath, they don't, they actually go into that rivet there. And then that guy sits on perfectly. Which actually, if you are going to paint these separately, makes it easier to put on. So bonus round if you're doing it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the other guy together, which is exactly the same. And then we have the arms, which are part 25. Which is the that's the arm holding the actual handlebars. Alright, I see. So we have one hand holding the handlebars. It's 25 like I said. Then we have an optional bolt pistol. But if you put the bolt pistol on, you actually just add on the 28, which is the handlebars on the other side. Or if you just want the guy driving, you just put 26 on. So again, in one way that makes it a lot of it easier if you keep keeping your drivers separate. But what I would suggest you do is much like when you was doing the dust mite riders, helmet, dust back, whatever, riders, is glue the guy together. Let that set. If you don't want to attach him to the bike, make sure there's no glue that's still wet, but put it in position when you put the arms on, and that way the arms will be in the right position when you come back again. So I'm going to matter on this because I'm gluing him on, so one's going to have both handlebars and the other one's going to have a bolt pistol, like in the book. So when I come back, I'll show you that. Okay, so we have this bit. One with bolt pistol and an extra bit onto the handlebars, and then one onto both. Next up we have the Orlock shoulders, which is the standard Orlock attachment for the shoulders. That's going to go on the back and there, so if you ever put any other Orlocks together, you'll be very familiar with this by now. And then we have the two heads. We have the one with the gas mask, and then we have the other one which is sort of like the stereotypical, shall we say, biker head, but looks cool. So with the beard, so well, we want of each. So I'm going to attach them. I think this guy might be the stereotypical biker, because I'm also going to give him a stereotypical shotgun, and the other guy can have the bolt pistol. Right. So moving on. Right to that. Yeah. And by shotgun, I mean some of the extras that are going to be on the next page. So we have next bit, which is the gunner parts. So I'm going to get off 37 and 38 for the legs. Sorry, yeah, 37 and 36 for the legs. And I'm going to get off 34 and 35 for the body. Then we have 39 for one of the arms, and then over the back. Okay, so much like the driver, we have two parts that go together for the legs, and we have two parts that go together for the body, just fit together. And then we have the arm, one of the arms is going to be holding the gun, so let's get those together. Okay, so at this point, now that we've stuck the feet together, what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick it to the gun mount, well, chair and gun mount. So what we have here is this little bit that sticks out. That fits into the area there between the legs, and then we have this little ring which fits between the two foot rests. So when you best thing to do is to stick these together at the same time. So if you need to move it around, this is still a little bit wet to move around with the glue. So I'm going to go and stick them into place, and then I'm back. Okay, so once that bit's glued on, kind of looks like that. And then we can go ahead and we can fit on the body and the arm. Okay, so next up we're going to put the shoulder pads on. I think I might have put the wrong shoulder pads on the bikers. I think these might be the driver's pads, and these ones might be the gunner's pads. Makes no difference, you can switch them around however you want. Same as with the other Orlock pads, they're a pretty standard sort of attachment. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on, and then we have some optional extras. This one isn't shown as an optional extra, but there's no real need to put it on. This is going to be a shotgun sawn off that this guy's going to have. That's just going to go on the side of the bike though. Then we have some optional bits that can go on the, you have to put them on, going to go on the mudguard storage racks, whatever they are. That's fine, they can go on. And then we have some on the other side. Again, you don't have to put them on. You just want to bulk up your ride. That's cool. Then we have the optional guns. So the kit comes with a heavy bolter and a harpoon gun. We're doing one of each. They are going to be fitting onto these parts there. So the gun actually fits into there, and the handle fits into there. So when you're putting this on, you might want to do all this as one full build, and that way you get things to settle in where they're meant to settle in. This is still a bit wobbly, so that's fine. If I need to push this off or push it forward, or the arm, I can do all that to get this gun into place. Once the gun is in place, we're going to match it up with 42, which is the other arm, which will go on the other side. And then we have the two heads, 31 and 33. So one with goggles and a mask. I think they're all exactly the same. It's just a slightly different style. I think that guy's got like a rebreather on. That's it. So that's an optional heads on there. And I suppose you could use heads from the Orlock gang, or you could use heads from the upgrade pack, or the board world heads. You could switch them around however you wanted to the heads. So now it's just a case of building these last parts on, and hopefully when I've done that, this will still sit in there and swivel, and I don't need to glue that on. It's a little bit wobbly so far, but I think that'll stay in place, to be honest. And if I got really worried about it falling out, that's the perfect size to put a little magnet on the bottom, and a little magnet in there, and that'll definitely keep it in place. Might do that actually, we shall see. But for now, let's stick all these bits together and come back with 2 finished quads. So we have 2 finished quads. So they do stick on pretty well. They probably would fall off after a while. That's pretty good actually. That one feels a bit more loose to be fair. But you could easily just put a magnet on there, and a magnet in there. You might not even need to cut it down because it's only going to increase that slightly. Cool. Right. Let's move on to the hab buildings. Okay, so we have A1 and 2 A2s. And they create a cross section, which is what the building is going to stand on. And then we have these little bits here, which is one of the ones that fell off at the beginning. These are all A4s. And we have 2 then which is A3s. And these 2 go together to create that, which then sits in there. And then all of these attach with a little plug end going into the thing in the middle, attach into there, and then into that groove at the end. So they actually, yep, that way, they actually fit into there. Once that's done, we have these little cog sections which go that way onto the 4 ends, and we have these little antennae that stick into those, and that creates the base area. The thing we've got here is these 2 sides of a platform which actually will stick together, or should stick together like that. So I'll go ahead and build these and I'll be back. Okay, so we now have 3 of these attached, and these clip in when you're in the right place as well. And we have 3 of these built. Next up we're going to build a 14, 13, 12, another 14 to make this cross section. You want 3 of those. And then we want 2 of these, which is A8 and A9 together. So let's build these. So we have our cross sections, 3 of those, and we have 2 of these little funnels. And then what we need to do now is we need to put these together. So we need to get 2 of these. We need to plug those onto there with some glue, I would imagine too. Unless it will just go on. It's a pretty good fit. And then we have this bit. Again, that's quite a good tension fit. For painting purposes, it might be worth leaving them separate. And then, oh yeah, take them off. Let's see if these fit on just as well. So that does fit on there. It's pretty secure. Fits on there. And then we have the base. Possibly only goes one way. So that'll definitely need to be glued on there. So put some glue on that bit. And where we were. I'm actually just turn it upside down. We'll see how that does once that's glued, and if any of these other parts need to be glued. Simply leaving them off just because it would be a bit easier to paint in bits, because it's quite a chunky bit of scenery, and this has still got stuff that's going to go on top of it, so it's going to be even chunkier. So that's that. We need to build another one of those identical, and then moving on to this page. Okay, so we have D36 and D35, which are the two parts of that antennae. Then we have C8 and C7, which go together like so. And then we have three of these, A11 and A10, which go together like that. There's also this piece here, which is D19, 18 and D44, which makes this bit, which is this bit, which is optional. And I'm actually going to use this because it looks a bit more interesting on this part. And then we also have C19. So what I've done with these bits, I've glued all this bit together now, and the only bit that's separate is that. So hopefully that'll make it slightly easier to store and paint, as long as that will stay on. One thing I could do is maybe put some magnets in there if it gets a bit flimsy, or if it's not too bad to store. If I find something to put it in, I'll glue it after it's painted. So what we want to do is glue these bits together, and then we're going to get one of these platforms, and we're going to stick all these parts along with D37, which looks like some sort of wiring. Let's see, I've not actually got that bit. I'll find that bit and I'll show you it, but we'll stick the rest together and come back. Okay, so we get our selected optional part. We're going to attach to that the antennae. We're going to attach that to one of these. And then that will be attached into the middle of that. We attach the little handrail. I think that goes like that. And then we attach the wire underneath somewhere. So looks like that probably attaches into there. Yeah, I'd say so. So it's going to be a case of sticking this whole thing together if I'm going to do that, to be honest. The bottom part of that goes in there and the top part goes into one of those, which will require this to be stuck on. So unfortunately, probably not going to be able to keep these separate, which is a bit of a pain for painting, but we'll make do and I'll stick this together. Okay, so that's the first platforms completed. Let's get that view up, which is there. Just for scale, that's how big that is. So next up we want another one of these A7 pieces, and we want one of these A17 pieces. We then want the platform we haven't attached to the bottom yet, and the last of the bases. And what we're going to do is we're going to attach that onto there. I'm going to attach one of these larger pieces onto there, like so. So this will make a slightly taller column. Don't know whether I'm going to need to. Tell you what, I am going to just, because I've attached the other one, I'm just going to attach this on, because why not? So I'm going to attach that onto there. So I'll just try and keep it separate. I'm going to attach that onto there. And then this little bit goes in there plugs this gap in the middle, like so. And now we're going to move on to the walls for this section. So for this, we're going to want B1, B3, and B4, and we want B5 and more B5s. And then we're going to alright, I'm just trying to look at the bottom of this. Not sure whether the B5 is optional or not. Optional, they switch with the D45. Different kinds of hooks on the bottom. So let's get all that off and we'll have a look. So we have our B1, B3, and then we have our B4. If you get these mixed up, the B1 is blank, the B3 has these two little holes on, and the B4 has this canister type thing, and then B2, which is down on the other bit of this page, has only one of these. So each of these needs two of these B5s, and they go on these bits here, like that. And then the B2 can either have one of those, or it can have this D, which is on another sprue if you're looking for it, because it's a D sprue, D45, which is like a large link, which I'm going to put on there. So let me glue those on. So this next part, it basically shows 5A and then 5B, 5B being this bit. So I think these are universal, I don't think there's a particular way they have to go. If there is, I shall let you know. Other than that, what we're going to do with these is we're going to fit these into these slots here and glue them in place. So then we've got the walls for this, and they should meet up there to make archways there. So let's do that. Okay, so we're ready to attach these, and we have these little bits as well. These are part 86. So what these do is they attach on the back of the, like that, to complete the door frame. So that needs to be glued into place, and then the other one glued on there, and those glued into place. So let's do that. So now that's in place, next we have these parts. So there's three different ones. This is B12. There are two of these. They have no, they're just like wires. Then we have B13, which has this attachment there, which is lower down, and B14, which is an attachment at the top. I don't think it makes any difference as to where they go, because they all seem to have the same way that they attach onto this, which is literally onto the stem there of this, and then into that hole there just above the, can you get it in place, and then into the slot on there. So it'll go on like that. So they just need gluing into place, and then we can start on the roof. Okay, so while those are drying on there, we can start on the roof. So this is B8 and B7, which two parts go together. They don't clip together the same way as the floor plate did. They do have little tabs in, so that'll take a little bit longer to dry, or to be left on a flat surface too. Then once that's together, we're going to have this underneath. So this is B11, and there are little tabs there that this will attach onto, like that. And then the final part of this roof is these bits, which are like the bars here. You need to attach two more of these, and they will go on these clips underneath there. So once those two are together, that'll meet the other clip on the other side, and we'll have a roof. And the guide says to make 2 of these up, so let's do that. So the roof sections are done. These actually in the instructions say they will not be stuck on, which is good because you won't be able to get to any interior detail. But that will go on there when it is done. Put it on the right way, like that. So already, before any of the other extras have been put on and the weight is increased, this thing is a little bit wobbly. I've knocked it over several times, which during a game could be a problem because this is very heavy. They're essentially metal trees, which is kind of presumably is what the design aesthetic is, that these things pop out of the ground like mushrooms or trees or whatever, and they look cool. I'll admit these look really cool, and in a visual perspective they're great, and the fact you've got all this design in there is awesome. And it kind of reminds me more, when you've got all the structure out, it kind of reminds me more of the original Necromunda, where you had walkways and everything. The problem is they knock over very easily, even with this intricate base. So yeah, there's more of a design and practicality gone into these so far. That's my impression. That could easily be solved by putting these things on bases. So if I made a little flat base from plasticard or something and had it about that wide, it would stop it from falling over. But then you're also sort of stuck with always having it on that type of terrain as well. But although it is ash wastes, I'll mainly be using my ash waste board. But there we go. So as we go along, we'll see if that gets any worse. I don't think anything's going to make it better, it's just going to get heavier. So yeah, so moving along, we're going to be moving on to this page of the build. And we're going to be starting with this ladder, which is A21, A22 and D40 on different sprue to make this ladder section. We also want D8 and D9, and we also want A18, A20 and A19, and we're going to have 2 of those, and these are like steps that are going to hang down a bit. So we want to get those parts together. So now we can put together the ladder. And then the bottom part of the ladder. Claire's just returned into the room. Hello.
Hello. Sorry.
You asking me if I'm alright, everyone who's watching?
Everyone.
Oh.
Anyone that wants to say anything.
We have these 2 parts, which is like a bunch of MacGuffin on a railing. They just go together. There we go. And then we have these. There should be 2 of them actually. If I would like to cough. Just up for the second one. But these basically go together. That goes that way up by the looks of it. And then we attach on these things with them going on there. Well, it doesn't make sense. That must be the bottom. And that must be the top. Because it doesn't make sense. So that bit is actually pointing down. So those 2 would go on there. So we'll glue them in place. Like so. I think that is right. So then we also have this single panel, which is going to fit into here somewhere. I don't think it does matter where it goes, but that's the bit it's showing at the front. And it shows the panel going in here. And it fit from the outside, I like it fit from the inside, to be fair. Nope, definitely fits from the outside. So that's going to go in there. That's going to be glued in. Opposite that will go this, once it's dried. This attachment hangs on that bit with those two little bits fitting into the holes under there. So once that's set, I'll put that on. It's not sure where this bit goes. There's a ladder. Let's have a look on the other side. Yeah. So we actually have, this is, I thought I went on the inside, but that's going on the outside. So, where does that fit? I suppose that could fit onto any of them, really. Figure out if there's a specific place for that. I'll look into that. We have the other ladder. So these ladders have little grooves in, which attach onto here. So that's not going to be glued either. I presume that actually keeps the roof on. But you'd have to unclip that. So we have to make sure that's completely dry before we continue. Then we also have a smaller ladder, which is A21. And we have B10 and D23. Which all look like bits of MacGuffin. That one will actually seal the top half of that. If that makes sense. So let's put all this together, not gluing what it says not to glue and gluing what it says to glue. Okay, so after having a look around this thing, there doesn't seem to be anywhere this really attaches onto. It sort of fits above that. You could glue it on there, you can glue it on there. This just seems to be like a flat adapter, there's not a bit that it actually sticks on. And I'm not 100% sure I want to stick it on either, so we'll leave it off for now. We've got this ladder on the side, that's not glued and the roof isn't glued. It all does click into place, that's fine. It does show putting this ladder on here, which I think is dumb because we've got a nice big platform here that we can put models on, even like Ogren size models. And by putting that on, now we've limited it to people just sort of like trying to stand on the edge. Plus I don't really think it adds anything because it doesn't even really fit on properly. It's a bit daft actually, that bit. And then we have these bits, D21, and we have what was the number? Basically antennae, D23, that's it. So these things along the edge, we have these adaptions here. So there is a little clip and sort of system on there, and they just will fit in to any of those along the side. So you can put them wherever you want. I'll probably space them out a little bit and just stick them on here. Those I will be adding on, so I do like them. However, no, very easily broken off. Especially, this is going to be a real thing to try and store this, because it's such a weird shape. When I put this in a box, and I want to put it upside down and store it like that, then these little antennae are just going to break off. If I want to store it like that, again, when it goes up against something, yeah, the terrain looks good. It's just not been thought through, I don't think. Right, moving along. We have some more B12, 14 and 13 to go on. We want the shorter of the two platforms, and this time we're going to be attaching them the other way around, so they go from the little dash line there up to that line there, so they're like the reverse to the ones we've already got. So I'll go ahead and stick them on, and then we have 4 sides of a unit to stick on, which is exactly the same as the other ones. And then we have again the B6s, tie that together. We've got D2, which is a slightly different sort of back wall attachment, and then we have this A18 here at the front. So I'm going to go ahead and attach all those, and then we'll come back when we're at this stage. So we have our second hab block, and now we've got these parts here. So we have D10, D12, which is this longer bit, and then we have D11. We also have this ladder, which is D38 and D39. It goes together like the other ladder. We also have another one of these C8 pieces, which goes together with D30, that just sticks on top. We have this bit here, which is D34, D31, an optional 25 or 26. I've gone with 26, just makes it a bit bigger. And we also have hidden there is a D7. So all this MacGuffin gets stuck together. Down here we can see the canopy, which is a shame there's only one. It looks pretty cool. It can either go there or there. If it goes there, you need those parts. But I'm going to stick it over the doorway, so it should fit on there. So in theory, at least, these bits are going to go through there, and then those bits are going to attach to that railing, and those bits are going to be stuck down there. So I'm going to go ahead and put all this together. I'll be back if there's any issues, otherwise we shall move on. So this is a bit fiddly. You've got to fit these two bits on. Another thing about this is you can't actually glue this on, because if you glued it on there, there and there, you won't be able to get the roof off. So this has got to remain freestanding, and that's how you do the attachments. And your best bet is to glue that one in, the small one, because there's a nice place to have to fit. Once that's dried, glue the other one, get it into place where you want it, and leave it there until it dries. We've attached this little box thing on the side there, and we've attached the, well, we haven't glued that on because you're not meant to glue the ladder on. That will go on there. We have glued this top part on, and we've glued the little MacGuffin, like wind monitor there. So that is that one, pretty much done. So next we'll move on to the walkways, which are literally sticking these together. There's nothing really to this. We have C10, C11 and C13, and all these just get stuck together. We have some like railings. I don't know whether to put them on or not, because you don't want you guys leaning there all day, do you? You're not paid to lean. So yeah, just get sticking these together. We do have these little clips on some of them, this C16, which are these. But yeah, so what I'll do, I'll just start sticking these together. If anything interesting pops up, I'll come back, otherwise we'll do all these. And we will come back to the small platforms. But let's get cracking. Yeah, let's just show you how they go together. They all have this same thing, like a little nodule type thing there, and this little receptor which fits in, and they just stick them together like that. And where two of these come together, that's what those little clips are for, to fill the gap. And that's it. So we have our walkways together. I'll just show you how the this bit goes on. It literally is just going to sit on the side like that, and you can put them anywhere you want. I'll just put them where it says in the instructions, which should be about there, to be honest, and build them like that. So the last part of this kit is the small platforms. Now they literally are just smaller versions of the main ones. We build the crossbar, and we have this bit here which goes in the same, and then we have a smaller platform on top and just some MacGuffin that goes on top of that. I'm not going to go through all this because it's just pretty much stick one bit to another bit. There's nothing that really stands out as needing to go over. This page is the same. We just put together the second platform and put the same bits that we've been doing on the larger ones. Then we have the accessories. Again, these have been done in previous videos, and I'm not even going to take them off the sprue because I already have all them. And then we can look at the whole set together. And now we have two small platforms. These bits are not stuck on, that's not stuck on, that's not stuck on. And then all these platforms, apart from falling apart like that, will have these on at various inclines, heights, distances, all connecting with each other. Like that. That's the plan anyway. So there we go. That is the scenery. Now I like the scenery. Visually it looks good. I particularly like it because there is nothing imperial on it. It all looks like just standard sci-fi type stuff. So I can see this getting used in Star Wars and Stargrave as well. There's no like imperial symbols on it. There's even a lack of skulls, which is great. And they do look like, as I went to, these hab buildings that have been a bit abandoned. So I can see you making a lot of use of this. So I kind of like the scenery. So next up we'll have a look at what cards we got with it. So there are 4 different types of cards in this set. We have the blank cards used to put in your gangers and vehicles now on as well. I think some of these are vehicle cards. There we go. There is the difference. That is a vehicle card. That is a gang card. So we have those, which I'll probably never use. Then we have the Ashwists Tactics cards. These are the ones you can use with your crews. So we have ramming speed. We have one with road, gunk spill, it'll hold, look out below, maglock handholds, nitro cells overload, belching smoke, back into the fray, always carry a spur, hidden in the ash, survivor gear, full nitro, mad mechanics, spring back, lightning strike, the ash is in my blood, and born to the wastes. The rest of these are either trade route cards, which are used in the campaign. I'll not go through all of them. Basically, these are your trade routes that you can use. And then we have road sections, also used in campaigns. And these are the different kind of road sections that you fight over. There's a bucket load of these. and what income they have, for instance, is at the bottom. They're all used in the campaign again, so I'll not delve into those. They're the Ashwists campaigns cards, they're the Ashwists trade routes, they're the tactics cards, and they're just blank. That's the card you get with it. They're enough to play the game. They get in the box. However, they're not the tactics cards for each individual gang that are in the box. Also worth noting, at the back of the instructions, you do have a bunch of rules. These are all rules regarding what you've got in the box. So you don't need the House of Iron book to play this box. You have the basic House Orlock gang list. It's pretty bland compared to the one in House of Iron. And then you have their skills, and then you have the Ashwists Nomads gang list. This is the first place it's published. So if you're Ashwists Nomads, you'll be using this because you have no options at the moment. And these are the rules that go along with that. These will be coming out in the next Necromunda book, 8 lands I believe, with the squats. So I'm interested. But that's it. You don't get full rules, so if you buy this, you don't get the House of Iron rules, and you don't get the 8 lands rules. They're all separate books, which is more cost. If you are interested in what's in this box and you haven't already got those, it's worth factoring in, because I believe this box is really only worth getting if you want everything in this. The cost of this box against what you get in it, I'm fine with it based on the fact I wanted everything in this, and Claire wanted the Ashwists gangers, and we're going to build the scenery. I'm going to be using that in multiple games. I'm going to get a lot of use out of the scenery, more than I would just for Necromunda. The other Necromunda terrain that we've had previously is better for Necromunda, I think. Weirdly. Because I wanted terrain that was similar to the first edition back in the days. And this is the most similar because it has walkways, but it is missing the various size buildings. Yes, they were all cardboard and just plastic walls, but they were very versatile with what you could do. I had many hours of fun with that. But I'm also rose tinted glasses looking at the path. These buildings look awesome. These models look awesome. These are great. And essentially what they've done is, if you did play the old games, if you're not new to Games Workshop, they've essentially bundled Gorka Morka, which was an orc based game, taking the orcs out, put all the vehicle rules into Necromunda, which works because they are similar games. That doesn't work. This is such a weak connection. This is what I'm about to mention. This is broken off several times. That I've glued this back on several times, and not just on this bike, on both of them. So I didn't want to put them on the bases, but I think I'm going to have to put them on the bases because there's no way they're going to get the support. I wanted to leave them off because I think the vehicles look much cooler not on bases. But there we go, that's just my opinion. So I'm going to glue that back on now. And again, that's cool design over purpose of being used, because that would fall apart really easily. And I feel the same with these hub blocks, like I mentioned before. These are very top heavy. I mean, I'm just doing that and it's moving quite a lot. When you're playing a game and you bring your hand down and you do the thing where you kind of miss and you're being you lose your dexterity save basically, and you knock into the terrain, that's going over, and any models that are on it are going off, and any models under it are getting crushed because it's quite heavy. I really do feel like these need to be put on some sort of base to give them stability. I don't really like doing that because then you got to base the base and it only works in that kind of terrain. You know what I mean? If you use your stuff on multiple types of terrain, I'd like to use multiple types of terrain because, like I said, I could see this in Star Wars. I could see this on an ocean like an oil rig coming up. I could see this pointing out to the clouds as it was almost a cloud city type thing going on. Just the shape of them and the shape of these and the way the walkways go off. Yeah, it's very dangerous, but nevertheless I could see it being used as that. And then once you put bases on it, you're stuck with it being on sand, or you just put up with the fact that it could fall over and destroy your entire miniature collection. So that's how I feel about that. There's been some design over practicality choices. I think that was the phrase I was looking for. So bear that in mind if you're going to buy this. Bear in mind, I only think this is value if you want everything in it. If you just want Orlocks, go and buy the Orlock gang, go and buy the Orlock book if you want, if that's what you're into. You can buy these little bikes separate, you're done. If you want more, then you can go and buy the, like I said earlier, the weapons upgrades. And you can also get some Orlocks from Forge World. After we've had a look at the Ash Wastes book, I might unbox these now. Because in here we have an Orlock with a heavy bolter. So you get these as well. There's plenty of options about buying this set. If you want Ash Wastes models, you can now buy them separately. Like I said, the rules for them are there. So you're stuck until Outlands comes out, which should be next, and it shouldn't be too long. The other thing is those cards are generic, and you're also going to probably want these bad boys. So we'll have a look at these after we've had a look at the book as well. But let's have a look actually at the rule book and just have a quick look through it to see what is actually in there. Right, so the rule book. So we have a nice view of the Ash Wastes, which isn't really a lot, it's just a hive in a distance. Some of the new artwork there on the front cover already. Blurb, welcome to Ash Wastes. So we have a lot of lore. One of the things that Necromunda books do well is lore, I believe. The one reason I do like buying the House of Iron books is because I think they're really well set out. This is going over quite a lot of stuff that we already know, but there's something about the prospectors and the tribes and some of the new stuff in here. So, something for everybody. We have a map of the wastelands. And then more about the Deep West. And then a picture of the box contents, which you've seen. We have some of the new vehicle dice as well in here, which is good because they're necessary for the game. Well, I'm sure they'll be bringing out dice sets for each houses and everything with those in. Then we have the rules themselves. So this is, like I say, they've got vehicle rules and you've got the Necromunda rules spliced together. Having not played them and just read them, they sort of hark back to a lot of the rules that was in Gorka Walker for just vehicle fighting. There are like vehicle conditions and things similar. Then we have the characteristics profiles again. All this is rules about playing the actual game. Up to there. Then we have finding our gangs. That's the rules for playing the game. This is the rules for making gangs. So this is how you would make any gang. These are repeated in nearly every book. And some gang, when you get the gang specific, there's some, like in House of Iron, there's some very specific things for that. When you get the House of Chains, you get the Vatborn and everything in that, which I really approve of. I don't approve of paying for the rules, but I do approve of the rules being there. So this is the pre-battle sequence, game structures, action phase, priority phase, different types of actions that you've got, broken fighters, everything through here, vehicle impacts, collisions, some of the summaries about the terrain and the rules for the terrain. I use the dice, kind of roll them. Resolving hits, lasting injuries. If someone wants to see me play Necromunda, I'll go through these rules in depth and actually do battle scenarios. Put it in the comments. Otherwise, we're just going to keep having a very quick look through this. There's a lot in here. rules wise. And then we have post-battle sequences, mainly come in when you're playing campaigns. And all the things that happen, like people dying, you're getting XP, getting new weapons, getting new skills, all the cool things about running campaigns basically. There's rules for the Psychers. I didn't see much has changed in a lot of the rules, to be fair. I haven't been through them with a fine-tooth comb compared to the previous rulebooks. If you've got the previous rulebooks, literally the new thing is the vehicles and the type of campaign that's in here with the road sections and everything. And this is what this is all about, running a campaign, fighting over different road sections. And what I'm hoping to see is reasons for the other gang members to be out and about. Because we know why the Orlocks are fighting in the Wastes. I want to see compelling reasons for the other gangs to be out there as well. Then we have the Ash Waste scenarios. So these are all the scenarios you can use in campaigns. You can use them as one-shots if you don't want to link them and you just want a quick game. Liters, Waste on Ambush, Rescue Mission, which is probably in every book ever. Breakdown, Waste on Encounter, Settlement Showdown, Settlement Raid, The Beast, again I think that's in every book, Incoming Storm, Cargo Run, the Bone Road Death Race, and then skills that you get specifically for like driving. So like I say, if you've got the previous, and these are the gang tactics cards that we've got to, which they should be the same as the cards I'm going to show you in a minute anyway. And then some pictures of these dudes painted, and the Orlocks painted, and we are at the end. So, do you need this to play Necromunda? If you have either of the base game or the Dark Uprising, certainly not. This is just an Ash Wastes add-on. It is the full game, so you can, if you don't have any Necromunda you want to get into, you can buy this. If you're more interested in fighting outside the hive than inside the hive, this is where it's at. It's a new sort of idea to Necromunda. Well, they've always had the Ash Wastes in there, but having the vehicles is actually new, because I don't really remember them being beyond fan-built stuff and some random stuff they did, having actual vehicles in there. So, let's have a look at these cards. So if you do buy this, probably one of the first things you're going to want is one of these or both of these decks of cards. And we have the Orlock Vehicle Gang cards. Let me move the camera back in a bit now. Manual zoom. Okay. So we have, I can hold it, take them out. Again, feel free to pause the video and have a proper look at what these do. Power slide, ride them down, bulldoze, biker gang, road warriors, wheels of iron, boarding action, familiar ground, going in guns blazing. Sorry if you can hear Robert in the background, Claire's just trying to settle him down. Drive by. King of the road. Supplies delivered. Fang it. Back in the saddle. Can openers. Rugged construction. and then we have the rest as the cards. See how many vehicle cards you get in there? These are all vehicle cards. It's probably better if you are going to use them. One of the things that I do miss is the fact that they did bring out some plastic covers, Necromunda and specific ones for these, and I got some and they stopped making them. So I've got tons of Necromunda cards that are not in covers and a few that are, which is a bit annoying. But thanks Games Workshop. Another flash in the pan. So for the Ash Wastes Nomads, we have Ghosts on the Ash, Secret Paths, Master Sniper, Will o' the Wastes, Beseech the Great Spirits. I realise that kind of looks like a weird Cthulhu symbol. They've sort of grown on me now. Raiders without equal, Mind, Survival Suits, Ashquake, Ambush Masters, alright, I thought I was just reading that really weird. So it's Spinner Orach Venom, that's a Spiner Orach. Overcharge, War of Attrition, now you see me, Numbers Without End, is that the Obi-Wan thing, they'll be back in greater numbers? I mean they are basically sand people. Blessed by the Storm, Bait and Switch, Fade to Ash, and then we have the actual gang cards because these guys don't have vehicles, just normal gang cards. So that's what you get, and if you're gonna, well, if you've bought the main set, I would assume you're interested in at least one of these gangs and probably both. Otherwise, it's really not worth getting. So then you're probably going to want the Tactics cards, so in for a penny. That's the Games Workshop way. And that'll be the next thing that you get before they bring out probably some bigger beasts and stuff for the Ash Wastes Nomads. Obviously the Outlandsman is coming, and that will probably have more options. There is the Shaman coming out for that. There's also a character coming out for the Orlocks on one of these buggies. And that'll be a portrait model, I think. Don't quote me on that. So, speaking of portrait models, let's have a quick look at these guys. This is something you can add to your Orlock gang. They are normal gangers and a champion. Never pull a knife towards you. It's a terrible idea. Don't do that at home. It really is asking for trouble. I'm being sarcastic, obviously. Right. So we have ourselves some proper Necromunda bases, which again, I get why there's not any in here because they haven't bothered to make any. But it's disappointing that these are not going to match. I'm going to put them on. The bags and keep falling apart. It is a shame these are not going to match the existing bases of my gangs. They really are going to stand out, but they wouldn't be used in the hive, arguably, sort of, maybe. So we have our ganger's body. We have heavy bolter and an autogun. We have another ganger body. We have chainsword and arm. We have some MacGuffin. There's a knife, a bit of MacGuffin from one of the bases. Not sure, it's like hair maybe. We have the third body. And we have arms and a stub pistol. We have our 3 heads, that one there, and that one there. So, if you've ever used resin models, I don't like resin models. Games Workshop resin was terrible. Forge World resin is now one of the better ones, honestly, out there. Very few fails off them recently, and they're not super oily, apart from the Scout Warhound Titan, which I'll go on forever because it was the oiliest thing known to man. It was actually an oil slick, walking oil slick. 4 coat, I think it was it 3 or 4 coats of 3 paint jobs, full paint jobs on it, before the paint would actually stick to it. Great. But that was a long time ago, and this resin is much better. As a standard, though, I don't like resin. A lot of companies, especially like the Fallout game, the resin was awful. It was probably one of the worst. I'll say not the worst one was Finecast. End of. So Games Workshop has had one of the best and is the worst. Don't know why. Don't know why they just didn't use Forge World's recipe. Probably cutting corners, or maybe it was like the whole Coca-Cola bringing in clear Coca-Cola to, make people prefer normal Coca-Cola. Who knows? Who knows what they were thinking? But anyway, my rant aside, if you've ever used resin, the first thing to do is clip it off these. And also you've got all the little parts. Because there is still a chance of oil on there, and there's also a chance of other residues that you've used during the manufacturing process. The best thing to do at that point is to wash it in soapy water, not hot, just warm-ish water. If you do it in hot, what will happen is your resin will start to bend. The good thing about hot water is if you get bent parts, with most resins and some of the weirder, not hard plastics, some of the softer plastics, what you can do is just put boiling hot water in a cup and just dip the thing in there and then bend it into shape. It's faffy, but I've done it with Mantic plastics as well, and some of the scenery like candlesticks and stuff like that, which is when it's turned up, it's basically a banana, not a candlestick. I've put that in hot water, and then you need to hold it, and then or apply cold water, or get somebody else to help you and apply cold water to it immediately after you've got it into the shape you want it, and it does help. It will never be perfect probably, but these are nice and straight. That's nice and straight chainsawed. It doesn't look like I'm going to need to do any bending on that, so I don't want to apply hot water to this because it will bend it out of shape. Simply soapy warm water to wash off any chemicals. They don't feel oily. It's literally something I've done ever since I got that Titan I mentioned, and it's something I do on all resin just to make sure, so that when you come to spray it, the paint doesn't basically run off. So let's prep these models up and get them stuck together. Okay, so now these are being dried, after being washed. One thing to note is when you're taking them off, they all have like B and they have A and whatever else on these. These are not numbered, yet the instructions clearly are numbered. I mean, if you want to follow the instructions, the numbers are pretty pointless. So for this set, this body goes with that head, goes with the stub gun and the chainsaw. This body goes with the MacGuffin to stand on, the auto gun, that head, and those two arms, which are both bent like that, one on either side. The last body goes with the heavy bolter, that body, that head with the hole on the back for the hair to be attached, the knife, and the other arm, which is at a slightly different angle to the other two. So where you tell the difference. So I'm literally just going to stick these together with super glue. Someone did ask me the other day what I use in super glue. I use iPaint super glue as often as I can. It's better. I also use the activator as well on metal models. Probably won't need them on this because resin tends to stick better. But if you use it on metal models, this stuff's brilliant, especially for heavier stuff. I literally just got through the post the other day while I was building this. You can probably sorting off plastic glue. I'm using the Rebel one. Got it off Amazon, really cheap for glue compared to the Games Workshop glues. So that's what I'll be using. I'm going to stick these together and we'll have a look at some finished models. Okay, so here we are. So two things. One, I got the arms mixed up. Yay! I always do it with Forge World stuff. You always get something in the wrong place. The difference you can tell is this woman has got arms that don't have any bands on. So both arms should be sans bands. The bands are actually attached to the gun hands. There we go. So that one arm there has got like a wristband and then a hole for the hand to go in holding the knife. And there she is with the heavy bolter. She'll definitely be added into my crew. And then you got the stub gun and chainsword. Even. And the other thing is, activator is actually brilliant for sticking resin to plastic because those bases take literally seconds to attach. So that is a great use for it actually. So there we go. So that's it for Necromunda with some bonus Forge World stuff. Just to recap, the Ash Wastes, worth it if you want everything in that box and you are a dedicated Necromunda fan. If you are just getting into Necromunda, I would more advise you to go for the Dark Uprising set or something like that. Something which gives you an in the hive kind of scene. And if you're only interested in Goliath, I won't even bother buying this. If you don't want Orlocks and you don't want the new Ashwists Nomads, you've got to want both of them, or at least have someone you know who wants to swap with you to make this set worth buying. And you've got to want the buildings as well. If you don't like these buildings, don't get this set. Honestly, the only reason I got this, I was in two minds. Claire really liked the Tusken Raiders, and I've got an Orlock gang, wanted the bikers. I've got the upgrade pack already and wanted some more Orlocks to put the upgraded weapons onto. And I really saw a use for the terrain in other sci-fi games. That's why we got it. And the other part being the fact that I'm heavily into Necromunda. I do like it. It's probably the one Games Workshop game I really do enjoy more than the others. Certainly more than I enjoy it myself. Everyone's got different tastes. Everyone likes different things. For me, this Necromunda is my favourite of Games Workshop games, and I'm glad they're supporting it. But I'm just hoping that this isn't the start of like them going, oh well, there's no vehicles, so we're going to re-release the House of Iron book just with vehicles in as well, and throw some other rules in, and start coming up with second edition codices, house books kind of things. If they start doing that, I'll be very annoyed and probably just not buy the books and just buy the new models and find or make the rules up myself, to be honest. For many, many years I played Necromunda when it was out of print, just with the old set of rules and various fan-made stuff, and I can go back to doing that rather than forking out for new codexes / house books every 5 minutes. So I hope they don't do that. I'm quite happy to buy some of the newer ones. Outcasts? Not Outcasts. Is it Outcasts? Outlanders, that's it. The Outlanders one that's coming out, because it's got squats in. I'll do that, but if they start replacing the books, I'm out. As far as the models are great. As are the Forge World ones. So again, if you're into a particular house, going to look on Forge World and see what kind of extra stuff is on there. If you want some interesting, different models, as I said, their resin is better than others. Remember to wash it before you paint it, before you glue it even. If it's oily, the glue won't stick. That's it. Thanks for watching. please like and subscribe. We hope you'll join us again. If you want, as I said, if you want to see us play Necromunda, put it in the comments. Time is tight at the moment, especially having a new little one added to our household. But for now, you guys take care, and I shall see you later. Bye for now.